So you have TikTok just smashing our young people's brains all day long with video of carnage in Gaza. And this is why so many of us can't have a sane conversation with younger Jews, because anything that we try to say to them, they are hearing it through this wall of carnage.
Carnage carried out by Israel against the Palestinian people should be dismissed. And that's according to, I can't even believe this, but maybe I should have been savvier. That's according to Sarah Hurwitz, who served as an aide and senior speechwriter, not to George W. Bush, not to some other war hawk, but to a left-wing war hawk, apparently, former President Barack Obama. So she made those comments at the Jewish Federations of North America, where she also mused that maybe Holocaust education in our public schools has backfired because it gave Americans, in her mind, the false impression that genocides and Holocausts were wrong when it happens to other people. Take a look.
I think, unfortunately, the very smart, bet that we made on Holocaust education to serve as anti-Semitism education, in this new media environment, I think that is beginning to break down a little bit. Because Holocaust education is absolutely essential, but I think it may be confusing some of our young people about anti-Semitism because they learn about big, strong Nazis hurting weak, emaciated Jews. And they think, oh, anti-Semitism is like anti-black racism, right? Powerful white people against powerless black people. So when on TikTok all day long they see powerful Israelis hurting weak, skinny Palestinians, it's not surprising that they think, oh, I know, the lesson of the Holocaust is you fight Israel. You fight the big, powerful people hurting the weak people.
She said that. She said that out loud at a public event with a live audience, with no shame. Holocaust is bad. Human rights abuses, war crimes, genocide, bad. Only when it happens to the Jews is like, what was that statement? What was that? I mean, the openness in making clear to everyone that everyone else is subhuman is pretty disgusting. Okay, luckily she received quite a bit of condemnation from other Jewish Americans, including Peter Beinart, the editor at large at Jewish Currents. And by the way, before I get to what he posted, I want to be very clear and I want my audience to understand. I know most of you already do, but in case there are a few of you who are watching this, that grotesque woman is not representative of all Jews, not even close. The fact that she was a senior speechwriter for President Barack Obama makes me sick to my stomach. Let's get to what Peter Beinart said in response to this. Quote, "This is why so many of us can't have sane conversations with younger Jews. The level of condensation, I don't know why I'm having a difficult time speaking today, but she's being condescending is essentially what Peter Beinart is saying there. And it's in regard to her comments on social media and how, oh, these young kids are watching the carnage on TikTok and you just can't have a conversation with them. You can't reason with them with all the facts and data we have because they've seen the carnage. But don't you have a problem with the carnage? Don't you have a problem with seeing little kids? Like I saw a video today on X actually of a group of little children in Gaza City specifically, who had just been killed. They're laying next to each other, their lifeless bodies. You see a video like that and you don't think to yourself, at least if you're a normal person, you don't think to yourself, oh no, these images of the carnage the Israeli Defense Forces have committed is bad because, not because it's inhumane, they rob these little children of their lives, but because, oh, it's gonna make it a lot harder for our Hasbara to get through to the young people, to the youths. She doesn't have a problem with the carnage itself. She has a problem with how the carnage, makes all us irrational people feel about the Israeli government. Chris Menahan also reminded everyone on X that the Holocaust Museum of Los Angeles literally took down a post saying never again can't only apply to Jews. I remember that. It was because they received backlash for posting it, so then they took it down. So I guess Holocausts are okay as long as it doesn't happen to the Jews. How about we live in a world where we all agree that genocide, holocausts, war crimes are bad regardless of who the victims are, regardless of who those crimes against humanity are directed toward. Whether it's Jewish people, whether it's Israeli civilians, whether it's Palestinians, it doesn't matter. They're human beings. And that's the thing that really struck me about this story. It's just the full-blown dehumanization of an entire population of people, and they say it out loud with no shame. With no shame. The only thing that keeps me optimistic is the backlash that ensues from ordinary Americans who are overall, generally speaking, good people. Because when they see the carnage in Gaza, when they see what's happening to Palestinians in the West Bank, yeah, it leaves a bad taste in their mouths. They don't like it because they see those individuals as human beings. I wish I could say the same about this woman, but apparently no, I can't. And this would explain why Israel's defenders keep bringing up allegations of Hamas systematically using rape as a tool of war on October 7th, even as the Israeli public overwhelmingly defended IDF prison guards who were seen on surveillance engaging in a gang rape of a Palestinian prisoner. When there were going to be some consequences, an investigation into the matter, people protested, people raged about that. And now you have the literal rapists appearing on Israeli media as the sympathetic figures. It's not fair to us. Our wives are having trouble being intimate with us. Yeah, your wives just saw you on video gang raping a prisoner. But that apparently is okay because the prisoner was Palestinian and, I guess just isn't human and deserved it. I will never turn into this. Never. I will never hate any group of people. I will never dehumanize anyone or any group of people based on their identity. This is the most loathsome garbage I've ever seen in my life. It really is. I can't believe that an American who worked for a presidential administration said this garbage out loud with no shame, but that's what she did. And it does highlight her double standard because I'd like to show you the types of conversations other Zionists are having on the very platform she cited earlier, which is TikTok. She thinks TikTok is the heart of the problem here. But she didn't reference some of the other conversations that are happening on TikTok like this.
If you were to say, how does Israel solve this problem forever in the future? I think that if you leave a scrap of Palestinian DNA.
Hey, can I ask you real quick, if we destroy all of Gaza, what is the loss to the world?
I didn't say that there's a loss to the world. I don't really think that the Palestinians provide much. If Israel did eliminate 2.3 million Gazans, right? Let's say it took them even a long time, short time, whatever. They just completely eliminate, wipe them all out. This would cause a response by the Arab countries, even ones that are like, I don't care. This would 100% cause a response by the Arab countries.
They would thank us.
Right, this would 100%.
Exactly. Yes, they would thank us.
Complete sociopaths. But there's no problem with those types of conversations taking place on social media. It's the Americans who have a problem with seeing the carnage committed by the IDF in the Gaza Strip. Got it. Dropsite News also reported today that 23 Palestinians were slaughtered by Israeli forces. There's supposed to be a ceasefire, but of course, as I've said before, for Israelis, ceasefire means you cease, we fire. And in this case, again, 23 Palestinians, including a family of 5 with one pregnant woman in that family. So she and her children were killed in that airstrike that took place in the Zaytun area of Gaza City. More than 10 people were also killed in several attacks in Gaza City. 3 people were killed and others wounded after Israeli forces targeted a group inside an UNRWA building west of Khan Yunis. And at least 1 more person was killed and dozens injured when an Israeli drone fired on a group near Salah al-Din Street. Overall, according to Drop Site News, Israel has carried out 393 ceasefire violations, killing 279 Palestinians, injuring 652 and arresting 35. This is what a ceasefire looks like, according to Israel. Violations include 113 shootings, 174 bombardments, 17 incursions, and 85 demolitions. Gaza's media office says, "I'll never forget this. As much as they are hoping that eventually this will die down and we'll forget, I'll never forget this." And Israel also carried out airstrikes on a Palestinian refugee camp in Lebanon just yesterday. A refugee camp, seems like it's a specialty of the IDFs. The drone strike hit a car in the parking lot of a mosque within this refugee camp. It reportedly killed 13 people and wounded several others, making it the deadliest strike on Lebanon in the past year. By the way, Lebanon is also a country that Israel allegedly has a ceasefire deal with. The Israeli military claimed it struck a Hamas training compound, which I know it's always Hamas, it's always Hamas. Israel will never take responsibility for its war crimes, it's always someone else's fault. Another strike targeting Hezbollah today also killed 1 person and wounded several others, including students on a bus. Israel is now telling villages in South Lebanon to evacuate ahead of more strikes and I'm sure land annexation. There's also some reporting from Israel on Palestinian detainees who have been tortured to death, most of whom were not Hamas militants, and that's according to 972 magazine, an Israeli publication. New data reveals 98 Palestinian deaths in Israeli custody since October 7th. Postmortems of the deceased and testimonies from former detainees suggest many died from torture, medical neglect, and food deprivation. According to a leaked Israeli intelligence database, dozens were civilians. In fact, most of them were civilians. Of the detained from Gaza, who make up the majority of these prisoners who died in custody, less than 1/3 were classified by the Israeli army itself as militants, meaning Israel was responsible for the deaths of dozens of Palestinian civilians in custody. 972, Local Call, and The Guardian previously revealed that the Army's internal database implies that civilians accounted for 83% of all those killed in Gaza, as well as 3/4 of those arrested and held in detention. But who cares? They're not human in the eyes of people like Mark Levin, Obama's former senior speechwriter, basically people who have provided cover for the atrocities committed by the Israeli government over the last 2 years. I'm ashamed that they consider themselves Americans. I don't want to share an identity with people as loathsome as these individuals, but unfortunately, here we are.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.